So I welcome everybody here, especially the revered guests that we have here, Hema ji and Dr. Prabhu. So I would like to start with Hema ji, and both of you have excellent profiles. I was going through them. I am nothing before them. So Hema ji was born in New Delhi, and she studied at Bangalore and currently resides in Goa with a beautiful family. At just the age of 29, she authored The Eternal Ocean of Brahma, and in 2020, a revised version of the Oceanic Gita was published by Invincible Publications. Am I right, Dr. Hema?
Yes.
The most notable work being the Karmic Trilogy, which was very interesting. I went through it. And she's a Reiki Grandmaster, Star Seed, and she's a light worker as well. And I would like to know about them in the end, because I don't know what are they. So I welcome you to the panel today. It's so nice to have you, Hema ji. Moving on to Dr. Manjari Prabhu. She's a doctorate in communication science, a short film maker, an international award-winning author, and whatnot. She's also a worthy pioneer of mystery fiction in India, and which is another very interesting thing. I also looked up for her books that she published, and some of the excellent books. She's actually authored 18 books so far, which is
Wow.
an excellent achievement in itself. And her latest book is Doctrine of Peace, which we will definitely talk about it in this discussion. And it's actually a great treat for the compassionate dog lovers and all the compassionate souls out there. So Dr. Prabhu, I welcome you to the discussion today on the behalf of Invincible. And let's move on to the topic now. I think we all are pretty excited about the topic. So the topic today is searching for peace and spirituality and trying to heal the inner child and what happens to the mind as we grow. Might seem like a very long topic, but I assure that peace, spirituality, and the inner mind are very interlinked concepts. And not blabbering much on the issue because I don't know much about it, I would ask Hema ji a question about her perception of inner child and the importance of inner child healing in today's chaotic world. Please, Hema ji, start with the beautiful knowledge that you have to give to all of us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suha, for such a wonderful introduction. Please let me know if I'm audible and you can hear clearly.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So I would like to say that since the turn of the century, and increasingly so after 2012, there have been a lot of inner child issues coming up for discussions. This has occurred in response to planet Earth seeking to complete the angst, the sorrow and pain that has subtly infused everyone's lives over centuries. And a vast majority are living their lives in complete ignorance of this root cause of their problem. The spring equinox of 2014 marked the commencement of the Sati Yuga and planet's Earth ascension into higher dimensions. Therefore, a lot of core issues have come up to be addressed in the past decade, and the inner child is one of them, since our mental health is directly linked to a happy and healthy inner child. So what is the inner child and the intrigue surrounding it? Basically, every adult, all parents and teachers have a responsibility to ensure that children grow up with self-love, self-esteem, and self-worth. Every child has its own journey, but as adults, we must take that little extra care and be very sensitive to the fact that our words are not leading to their lack of self-worth. If children grow up and are educated in an environment that is devoid of respect and honor for others, the inner child gauges and presumes that the only way to live in this world is to either be harsh and aggressive or to be submissive and self-sacrificing. We just unconsciously tend to play victims. And truly, I'm sure you will agree with me that truly none of these are healthy emotional states to be in. And these children grow up with immense mental health issues and become violent adults and inflict harm on others. Parents and most adults are always stressed, trying to complete work schedules and achieve personal goals and commitments. Therefore, they lack time to devote to their children's upbringings, and there's always a gap between what the parents can give emotionally and what the child seeks. And this gap is filled with doubts, insecurities, and self sabotage beliefs. The child will start nurturing beliefs like, I am not good enough to get my parents' love and affection, or I'm less fortunate than others. My parents don't accept me as I am. And these beliefs are a clear indication that the inner child is not nurtured in the way it desires to be loved. However, we should not ascribe any fault or blame because I believe that every parent strives to do their best. So, what would be an ideal situation where our inner child gets triggered?
Just a
I,
second. I would
yes,
I I would also like to include Dr. Prabhu in the
yes,
yeah.
sure.
So, Dr. Prabhu, what do you think about the inner mind? It's quite a unique concept, pretty unknown to people. What do you think about it? I completely agree with Hema ji that the early childhood care has a lot of bearing on the children, and we can actually develop we can actually develop a lot of the as you said, unhealthy mental imbalances, and then in this already chaotic world of today, the children are not
Yes,
able to actually cope up with the stresses, right? So
yes,
would you like to throw some light on it, and then we'll get back to Hemaji on inner child
yes.
healing to so
Thank you, Dr. Suha. Well, yeah, Hemaji, you were absolutely right. I mean, in what you were saying, I do believe that that all of us, I mean, as children, when children are born, they're basically in their purest forms.
Yes.
Like animals. They, there's no contamination of any kind. They're, as infants, if you notice how children are happy on their own, they don't really need, external stimuli to make them happy. And I think as we grow, what really happens is that how should I say, we are enveloped, or we embrace two levels of understanding. One is where we have an inherent capacity, to choose because of our intellect and because of our capacity to reason. So when these two come together, when the intellect, reasoning, and capacity come together, there's automatically changes are going to happen as you grow from a child into adolescence and then into adulthood. Similarly, on another level, there is this constant pressure, like Himaji said, to succeed. There's always this pressure to succeed, whether it's your career, whether it's your family, whether it's getting married. So when this pressure to succeed combines with your power to choose and your intellect and reasoning, I think that inner child somewhere is completely contaminated. It's just not in our hands. For all of us, we were really pure souls when we were born, but as we grew older, we totally lost track of that inner child. So I feel, when you spoke about spirituality, I feel the journey of spirituality is basically to discover this inner child again, and to discover this purity of our initial and original form again. So, well, there are many ways of doing it. I mean, of course, parenting is one very important thing, but I have always advocated that to bring in the purity in our minds, or our inner child out again, what we really need to bring out is love and compassion. I think those two are, I completely swear by love and compassion. I'm sorry, I'm swearing here, but I seriously feel that love and compassion are the answer to all the problems in the world, including bringing out your inner child. And how do you bring out the love and compassion? Well, that's another part of my answer, but well, that's about it. Yes, I think the inner child needs to be nourished, needs to be nurtured, and needs to be brought out at every stage of our life.
exactly, that was so insightful. And I think, as you said, that today the pressure is so much. You have to outperform everywhere. There is cutthroat competition almost everywhere in every sphere of life. So I think that is what contaminates the inner child. And
Yes.
here we are discussing how to bring it back. So Hemaji, how do we bring back the inner child? How basically?
Yeah, wonderful insights. And thank you so much, Manjari and Dr. Suha for this. And the first step is awareness, I mean, we first have to be aware that our inner child is hurt and it needs to be nurtured. So when does it rear up? When does it show up? Sometimes you're just triggered by a few words, or you react to a certain person or a certain situation in an unreasonable manner, and you have no control over your own reactions. Afterwards, you may be questioning yourself about your unprovoked behavioral patterns. But truly, it was not you who reacted, it was your inner child reacting. And your inner child has to be healed if you want to have good relationships. So we have to take responsibility for the inner child and stop blaming ourselves or others for the circumstances. We have to focus on healing it, because the predominant energy of the inner child in today's world, when I say today, I mean the circumstances around us, what we see, the predominant energy is one of anger, of feeling rejected, feeling victimized, and thus people become aggressive. Once you're aware of your behavioral patterns, you can become alert about how you react to situations. So I feel that the inner child is coming up now more because our social structure has changed. And I would say in the last century and earlier, in India, the social structure was predominated by the joint family system. And like every system, there are successes and failures. But basically, what happened is that since parents had limited time and resources and were not available for their children, the grandparents filled in the crucial role of giving love and compassion, as the words of Dr. Manjari. Beautiful words, yeah. And infants enjoyed the mature love of their grandparents. And the grandparents are also seasoned by life's adversities, and they really used to shower unconditional love on the grandchildren. The grandparents were also retired most of the time, and they had a lot of time at their disposal, unlike the parents. But as you know, in every system, there are failures, and some children have been emotionally scarred because of the battle lines drawn in joint family systems. But I would like to say that it is important to address our past hurts and emotional traumas, because if we don't do that, they will transform into destructive behaviors, which will adversely influence our mental health. And this can lead to gambling, addictions, racism, alcoholism, murder, rape. It's unending. And I would just like to make one statement, that when we heal the inner child, we heal generations, we heal the world, and we can heal our planet. So it is very essential to definitely take the responsibility and start addressing the hurts and the emotional traumas of our inner child.
I think it was so
Thank
beautiful.
you.
When I heard it, it actually gave me goose skin. We heal generations, and generations, it does heal generations, and it means a lot. Thank you so much for such a beautiful insight. And I would like to move on to Dr. Prabhu for this. How do you think that we should heal the inner child? And even when we read about your book, it mentions that there are two spiritual beings, one with a wagging tail and one a human being. So can you please elaborate on it for us, please?
Yeah, so like I said, that love and compassion are the answers to everything. And I've written this book, which I'm going to show. It's called The Doctrine of Peace, which obviously means that there is a dog on the picture. And I believe that if you want love and compassion in your life, you need a dog in your life. And, I've been thinking, ever since dogs came into my life, and I've been looking at people around me and things that are happening around me, there's so much violence, there's so much hurt, there's so much, there's the kind of malice around, or the kind of negative emotions that are running around in the world. And I kept thinking, what was preventing human beings from reaching out to that inner love and compassion that we are born with? Obviously, we already said that when you grow up, there's so many pressures and this and that and the rat race. And somewhere along the line, we've forgotten that we are inherently loving and compassionate people. So I kept wondering, what is it, that one thing that would bring back that love and compassion into our lives? And the answer was right there in front of me. I've been looking after dogs all my life, and it's like an insight in me. I feel that, I do feel, that this is the answer to all kinds of solutions. And the answer is that bring a dog into your life, because a dog is, loves you unconditionally, gives you so much love that he loves you more than he loves himself, will sacrifice his life for you, will bring out all your pureness and all your positive qualities. So here is a mechanism, a four-legged, devoted being who is going to give up everything for you and treat you like the most special person in the world, and will automatically bring out the best in you. So I feel that the inner child will come out if you have a dog in your life. And through my book, I have explained how this can happen. You don't have to immediately rush out and bring a dog into your life, into your house. There are ways of doing it. But I do feel that with the doctrine of peace, I have kind of explained, there are about 9 sutras in the book, which explain how step by step you can use the company of dogs, you can bond with the dog and bring about that pureness of heart again, and awaken your spiritual process and enlighten your life.
I think we'll have to get the book for further explanation, right?
Yes.
So that was excellent. I would really like to know about the 9 sutras, and I'll share my personal experience. We last year we got a Labrador, and since we got a Labrador, all 4 of us, we stay together, and our lives have completely changed.
There you are.
They revolve around him. They are all around him. He's the baby of the house, and he binds everybody and connects everybody so well.
Yes.
And the most of all, he's a warm water bath to all of us. So no matter how much stress, how much pollution that comes from outside, the emotional pollution, the psychological stress, he can absorb it all.
Yes.
That little being can absorb everything and make you.
Absolutely. Dogs are detoxifiers of your life. They detoxify your life.
Exactly. I agree to that so much.
Yeah. And they always wait for you at home. When you enter the home, they always greet you. Even if you've shouted and been angry with them, and that I cannot say for every human being.
No, not every. You cannot say for any human being.
Yeah, very true.
Dogs are
so
dogs.
Beautiful the way they know your time, and they wait for you at the gate, and they welcome you. It's so beautiful.
When they sleep with you when you're not well. So
Yes.
that is such a beautiful feeling.
Yes. And I would like to just state that when my elder son was born, the dog just started on her own. She would sleep outside my door, and the minute my son even made a noise, she would start barking, and she would alert me, or she would tug at me. And when I used to take my son in the pram, she would just walk in front of the pram. She was so protective, and it came naturally to her. It's amazing, like so many stories, we could go on and on. Of course, back to the topic.
How they understand all the language and everything. We don't understand what they say, but they know everything. They know everything you say.
And you can understand them if you listen.
No, absolutely.
If you listen, and if you know what to do, how to listen.
Exactly, we do. But they understand us better is the point that I'm trying to make.
Yes.
So, now moving on, Hemaji, I would like to ask you about your field of work. How being a Reiki grandmaster, and how it has helped you to heal people and heal the inner mind, if you will. So can you?
Sure. I think I'll just give you an overall comprehensive explanation of how it all began for me. And truly, Reiki is something that I have done in many past lives. It was such a natural extension and such a lovely learning process for me. And it all began at the age of 22. I, it was a totally life-altering experience. I had gone for an early morning walk to the Marina Beach at Chennai with my cousin sister. And unexpectedly, my thoughts started associating facets of the ocean's waves as they rolled towards me with relevant shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita. In a nutshell, I can say that the ocean taught me the Bhagavad Gita, and that's formed the contents of my first book, which is now revised and available as the Oceanic Gita. My personal psychic journey and intuitive faculties developed when I learned Reiki. And this was in 1997, over 2 decades ago, more than that. And in 2001, I became a grandmaster. Initially, I taught very few participants. Basically, I live in Goa, and the reaching out to people and connecting with them, organizing a class was not very easy. My children were also small. But what I did was I started using Reiki meditation for my writing. And I'll just share an example. Like what I would do is I would write the chapter name and on a blank page, and I would draw the Reiki symbols and just sit in meditation. And slowly, in my mind's eye, like a movie, parts of the chapter would, unfold, and I would just write it out, and then I would add and improve on it. And it was a blissful way of connecting to higher realms. And I have extensively used Reiki symbols and its powerful energies for my personal empowerment and my journey. I could say even astral travel, and as I progressed in my spiritual journey. So one thing I still remember, and this was over 2 decades ago, when I was learning Reiki, my Reiki master was instructing me about, certain kinds of healing. Sometimes there are very traumatic cases like emotional abuse or rape or, very life-shattering experiences. So he was explaining that in such circumstances, we could heal the memories in the Akashic records by erasing those memories. He never taught me that, nor did he explain about it, but that sentence remained in my mind. And I have always been connected to the Akashic records. They fascinated me. And I've read a lot of books by Edgar Cayce, who is also known as the Sleeping Prophet, if you've read any of his books. And last year, I was fortunate to learn how to access and read the Akashic records. And once again, there was an immense sense of familiarity, as if I've not learned anything new, but just rediscovered myself. It was a beautiful experience of accessing the Akashic records. And this year, in April, I channeled a prayer, invocation to access the Akashic records. And with this, I started receiving deeper insights. And I also started receiving guidance on how I could heal in the Akashic records by erasing memories and creating a better future. So since April, I've been keeping extremely busy with readings and healing sessions. And I've also started teaching Reiki now, and it's much easier to teach now. So everything is online, like we are connected online and not in person. So Reiki has been a beautiful journey for me. And right now, what I am doing is my healing sessions are a combination of the Akashic record healing protocols, where I open your Akashic records with your permission, and I receive answers for your questions. Then I sit in meditation and I'm guided by higher beings, the gurus or the archangels, on how to erase these past life memories and create a new set of affirmations. I also combine this with different Reiki symbols, like I use money Reiki symbols, I use Karuna Reiki symbols, and I also work with the silver violet flame of Saint Germain. So as I am guided for every situation and every healing session, it's very different for me. And this is in a nutshell what I do presently, apart from writing. And I am really blessed that, I have been given this gift of healing. But I believe that I'm just a channel between the client who is asking healing and the divine. Truly, the energies are flowing through me, but the healing is being done by the divine. And I'm just channeling it, and I'm being guided all the time to proceed. Sometimes some symbols come into my mind and, do this, change that. And I don't have any medical knowledge, but I am actually healing the subtle and etheric bodies. Basically, we're just channeling Reiki energies. We're channeling different energies, prana, through symbols as we are guided into the human body. And channeling is also something which has been a part of my life for the past 12 years. I have channeled over 500 messages, and I have just completed a manuscript. The first one is about the Navratri festival through different years. It is complete, and I've submitted it to a few publishers. And as you asked me earlier, I am a star seed from the planet Sirius. And planet Sirius is from where the unicorn collective come. And I am deeply connected with the unicorn energies. In the past few months, I've channeled over 200 symbols from the unicorn. I am now in the process of creating a WhatsApp group with these symbols. So it's a beautiful way of connecting to the higher dimensions and angels through these healing sessions and writings. And you asked me about a light worker. So I say that I'm a way shower light worker because through the Akashic records, I see the path which opens for you. I can show you the way. A light worker is basically a healer who works with energies of light. So sometimes we use the rainbow light, sometimes white light, the golden light, the violet flame, the blue light of Archangel Michael, the green light of Archangel Raphael. Each archangel has their own light and energies. And we just work with these combinations. For every person, it's different. And even for the same person, when I'm healing them, at different times, there are different energies and different, light. We use different lights for that.
I think that is absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure we can have an entire session on that alone. That was so insightful, Hemaji. And I think by your work, I just got to, I can relate it to a concept called the Bodhisattva concept of Buddhism. So these Bodhisattvas, they used to, channelize. They used to gain a stage lesser than the nirvana and then let the people gain nirvana and then eventually they gain nirvana. So I think you are Bodhisattva of the modern world, if you will. So that's excellent.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Dr. Prabhu, we talked a lot about the past life. I would like to know if dogs are also related to us from the past life. Is that true? Do you feel it's true? Because I completely agree to that concept that dogs and people are related from past life, and then they again come together in the new life in new forms and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, it's possible. Because they say that, I mean, there's something that's happened in my life too, but I'm not going to say that because I'm not going to narrate it because it's in the book and I want people to read the book. But definitely dogs are connected to us. Actually, they're connected to us from 15,000 years. And they come to us because they choose us. We don't choose them. Dogs choose us and they come into our life for a reason. And I think that reason is very important. And as you live with them, you understand what the reason is. And there is definitely a soul connect. I mean, whether it's a past life soul connect or it's a present life soul connect, or they've come into your life and now they're going to take you, throughout your life, they're going to meet you in some form or the other. We don't know. But certainly there is definitely a very deep bond and a deep soul connect between dogs and human beings, for sure.
Dr. Prabhu, continuing with you, can you please read 2 poems that are beautifully mentioned in your piece of literature, please?
Well, definitely, I would love to. The first poem is actually called An Anonymous Dog's Prayer. So, the whole purpose of this book is to spread love, peace, compassion, coexistence, and harmony. And my focus is the street dogs or the community dogs, as we call them, because, you know, there is a general tendency to look at these dogs as a menace or as a nuisance, or as if they're chasing, you know, they chase cars and they chase vehicles. And there's a constant fear, will they bite us? You know, that kind of a thing. And actually, they're the most harmless beings around. And if you look after them and take care of them, they become your best companions and best watchdogs. So this is a prayer, you know, it's an anonymous dog's prayer, which I put in the beginning of the book. So I'll read that to you. It says, when I stare at the dark night, there's only one thing I want to say. Next time, God, do what's right. Create humans as I pray. A soul with a soft eye who will look at me and see my hunger, pain, and sigh, and not just the teasing flea. I sit alone in the street, so miserable and nostalgic, trapped in the pouring rain and heat, desperate for some magic. Once I was a beloved pet, but from friend I became a foe. That's because all these dogs that you see were sometimes somebody's pets, you know, and they've come on the streets because they were abandoned or there were other such reasons. So once I was a beloved pet, but from friend I became a foe. Because someone thought I was a threat, I was abandoned or asked to go. Oh God, send someone to pat my back and hold my paw if I weep, to put a worn out, coarse, torn sack for my tired body to sleep. A human who won't show me his fist, who will care and help us survive. He must understand that if I exist, he too will surely thrive. I mean, that's the basis of the doctrine of peace. But above all, I'm so keen for a loving glimpse and word, for all I want is to be seen, and all I want is to be heard. Oh God, create a human miracle, who will help my spirit roam free, who will whisper the words so magical, you mean the world to me.
You mean the world to me. That's excellent.
Lovely.
That's excellent.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
It did actually bring a few
So
tears.
poignant. Yeah.
Thank you.
It is beautiful. And the other poem?
The other poem is at the end of the book, and it kind of succinctly covers the whole book. It's like the principle of the book, and it's short. It says, so it's the last page of the book. When two magical beings decide on a spiritual goal, one with a wagging tail, but both with a unique soul. One with a helping hand, the other with a loving lick. Both look to each other for love to really click. One with a loyal mind, the other with a kind heart. Begin a journey to peace, bonding from the very start. In the doctrine of peace, where you serve, love, and care, a divine flash will surely shine on a path that both can share. So this book is all about serving dogs for spiritual awakening and enlightenment. So this poem succinctly gives a summary of the whole book.
I think your child agrees on that, right?
Yes, of course.
I've also got a lovely copy of the book.
Good.
It's really beautiful. And I would really recommend to everyone to reach out and definitely buy a copy.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
I think I should be the first one to do that. I should have done
You
that.
should, yes. Since you have a lab, you're going to relate completely with the book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So true. Is that the picture in the book, is that an animation or is that your...
This one, the dog?
Yes.
Yes, so the dog is one of the dogs in the lane. Okay, he's called Simba.
Okay.
So he's an indie dog.
Okay.
And this cover, I think there must be at least 15 versions of this cover.
Wow.
Because we, whenever you pick up a dog book, there's always a cute, fluffy, white, that kind of a dog. And we're basically, in this book, we're dealing with street dogs and asking people to bring them into your house, as your companions. So we wanted an indie dog on the cover, and somehow no dog, and his eyes are so beautiful in this cover. And we had so many versions of this cover till we finally reached this one. So this boy, Simba, was actually picked up by a friend of mine. Like there were three pups right in the middle of the road. And he was picked up somewhere, they were traveling, and right in the middle of the road, there were these three pups huddled together. The car could have driven over them, but luckily they stopped because they saw them in the headlights. They picked up the three pups, brought them here. And then since then, we are looking after them. They roam around in the streets, in their house. We feed them. So for all the dogs, I think at least 100 dog pics I must have. Since we take care of dogs, I've got many pics. But this guy was the lucky guy. The one, he came here and out of the blue, he just took over everything. He's become the king of the lane now because he's so famous.
Very beautiful. That's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
We are already short of time. I think we just have another 10 minutes. So I would open the discussion to Hema ji now, and anything that you want to say, any closing remarks that you want to give here, please feel free. If there is anything that I've not touched upon which you want to speak, I open the discussion to both of you. Please.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Suha. I think I would like to just touch upon the topic which was given, that is what happens to the mind as we grow. And since this is a literary festival, I would like to say that, through our life and through our childhood, we were always told that if one wants to learn anything in life or one wants to aspire for greatness, you must read the autobiographies of famous people, and you must read books by leaders, written by leaders, so that we can glean valuable information to empower our lives. So everyone may not derive motivation in this way. And I feel that everyone's perspectives and their life choices primarily depend on their personal mindset. So as we grow, some are open and receptive to learning and progressing as advised in the books or what one learns in different ways. But some are very closed and extremely critical. They literally block everyone, and they're very negative about anything which comes across, whether it is spiritual or even something in the corporeal world. So this, I feel, stems from our inherent nature. Some people are extremely positive-minded, irrespective of their circumstances, and they can always find something positive even in the most dismal situation. And like I said, there are others who are extremely disapproving and they reject every well-meaning advice. And most of us are just combinations of these two qualities, and the ratio keeps changing on a day-to-day basis. But what is happening in the last 2 decades, and this is what my judgment of the situation is, that as we are growing older, our minds are getting more cluttered by the unceasing judgmental voice which is in our head. And as Dr. Manjari said, when we are born, we are pure souls. We are not filled with all the clutter and all the issues and all the judgments and evaluations. We are not critical of others. We don't keep evaluating and thinking, oh, this one has a hidden agenda. And if our minds are filled with deprecating thoughts or something negative, we cannot progress further. We cannot fulfill our life mission and follow our life purpose. And whenever I wish to talk about how one can be on your life journey and your life purpose and what happens to us as we grow older, I always extrapolate this by giving the example of the flute. The flute is hollow, that's its basic quality, but it emits such melodious tunes, when the breath fills it. But if you take the same flute and stuff it with paper or stuff it with cloth and clog it up, then you can keep pouring in your breath, you can turn red in your face, but no music will emerge.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. I think I'll have to stop you there. I'm so sorry. Dr. Prabhu, any closing remarks, please, if you will. We just have 5 minutes left and we would really like to.
Well, I will keep saying this, that if you want peace, love, harmony in your life, okay, be open, accept that this planet belongs to everyone, especially dogs are a representative of the nature, And if you want to be in alignment with nature, because that's what will bring out your inner peace and inner child, you need to be in alignment with nature. And you have to do it through dogs because they're right there before you and they're easy to bring into your life. You don't need to go into the jungle. You don't need to go into the Himalayas to meditate. You don't need all these things for spirituality. All you need to do is bring a dog in your life for love, peace, spiritual awakening, and enlightenment. Thank you.
I think that's excellent. And I think we had a great discussion. I am so keen to meet you guys when we have a Gurgaon Literary Festival in person, and would really looking forward to it. And thank you for such a great discussion on behalf of Gurgaon Literary Festival, and on my individual behalf also. I'm so thankful for giving me such beautiful insights. I'm not that experienced in life at the moment, but talking to people like you, Dr. Prabhu and Hema ji, I think I will definitely gain a better insight in everything, in inner child healing, and be it dogs, be it anything. And so I think everybody watching this should gain something. And the take-home points, the early childhood care has a lot of bearing on the inner mind. And then again, if you want to heal yourself completely, you should get a dog in your life. And that's and especially I would like to request everyone to adopt one or the other street dog. And
read the book, because you're going to find the answers in this book.
And those 9 sutras are still a secret.
Yes.
So go buy Dr. Prabhu's book and please read it. And again, thank you so much, Dr. Prabhu and Hema ji. That was a very great discussion, a very insightful one. I am so eager to meet you guys in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this discussion. Thank you.